Rashum.
Rashum. Registered.
Kiriloy Eli Avata Veyoideka Eloika Venemeka Keli Avata Veyoideka Eloika Yarai Memeka Keli Amata Veyoideka Eloika Yarai Memeka Keli Amata Veyoideka Eloika Yarai Memeka Keli Amata Eloika Yarai Memeka Keli Tome yoideka Eloika Yarai Memeka Keli Amata Veyoideka Eloika Yarai Memeka Keli Amata Eloika Yarai Memeka Page 64. So remember that tomorrow we don't have a class here. We go to Rebbe Fink, right?
So,
I think so. So this guy is looking for a parking spot. Moishele, wie bist du gewesen? Schon sehr lang. Lass dich weg, du. Bist du busy?
64.
Hast du Panus, ja? Thank God. Dann sag ich, trink, mach ein Bruche.
Do you ever notice how young people sit down with their chest? You go up to my grandson and they sit down with their chest. He's not the only one. Please.
64. So this guy is looking for a parking spot in Manhattan. Did you ever look for a parking spot in Manhattan? You've looked in Manhattan.
And he prays to God that.
And you know this one already.
He works in Tel Aviv.
He says,
I
God,
may,
if
I
you
may forget what this year is about, but the jokes
he says, God, please help me. If you help me, I'll give you $20 to charity. Right then the car pulls out. He says, oh, forget it. I did it. I managed myself.
I don't think it's for you.
It's for us.
It's for us.
Not for the shoes, our daughter. Okay.
Yeah, forget it.
Okay, page 64. Achdut Yisrael b'Rosh Hashanah, the unity of all of Israel on Rosh Hashanah. And so he says, and he wrote, I want to ask you, Chaverim, my friends, why don't we ask each other for forgiveness on Rosh Hashanah? And the Yom Kippur we do, right? I mean, Shalom, Shalom. בוא, אנחנו זורמים כאן ביוטיוב, תגיד, this is my grandson, Sheldon Hoffman, also known as Elidot, Eliyahu, Tzach Shalom. So, Yom Kippur we go and we're asking each other for forgiveness, right? Shalom. מה שלומך? בסדר? נמצאת שם, כן? תודה. So, אני רוצה לשאול אתכם, חברים, מדוע לא מבקשים סליחה זה מזה בראש השנה? Yom Kippur we go around, we say, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, right? And why don't we do it also in Rosh Hashanah? מדוע לא? אני רוצה להתחיל שנה חדשה. I want to start a new year. כל השנה לא התנהגתי כל כך טוב איתך. All year long I wasn't so great with you. אז בבקשה תסלח לי. So forgive me, please. So why don't we ask for each other for forgiveness on Rosh Hashanah? תשמעו מה אומר האיש בצר. So listen to what the Yeshivat Rebbe says. זה כל כך עמוק, it's so deep. ביום הכיפורים, אני וחברי, אנחנו שני אנשים. Yom Kippur, I and my friend were two separate people. ולכן, and therefore, אם חטאתי כלפיו, חס ושלום, I did something wrong to him, אני מבקש סליחה, so I ask him to forgive me. אבל בראש השנה, עם ישראל ממש אחד. ראש השנה, עם ישראל is ממש one. לא שייך שאצבע אחת תבקש סליחה מהאצבע השנייה. It doesn't make sense that it's not possible that one finger should ask the other finger for forgiveness. Right? Because it's part of the same one hand, same one body. בראש השנה מאיר עומק האחדות והאהבה של עם ישראל. Rosh Hashanah, the depth of the unity and the love of Am Yisrael is illuminated, and therefore we don't need to ask for forgiveness because we realize that we're one. Right?
But Yom Kippur not.
Yom Kippur not. Yom Kippur is Rosh Hashanah. We're also I'll give you an example. When we were around by Reb Shlomo, in his presence, everybody was so friendly and so loving, and everybody was like, you're the best, you're the greatest, we're so good with each other. But then when he was away for a while, you would have people who would get into arguments and fights. Because in his presence, it was clear to everybody that we're one. Understand? In the presence of the king and Rosh Hashanah, right? Rosh Hashanah, we're standing before Hashem, Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's clear to us that we're one. So there's no need to ask for forgiveness because it's an obvious thing that's the way we are. My friend Zev, when he went the first time to 770, he came back, he was was really blown away. The Rebbe was actually not well anymore at that point. He came back and he's not a Lubavitcher, but he was really, really impressed. I said, what impressed you so much? He says, you realize that the Rebbe made Bali Tshuva out of real gangsters? Like, it's like, there's a story in the Gemara, Reb Yochanan and Reb Shlomo, It's one thing to go and make a Bal Tshuva out of a decent person, but to make a Bal Tshuva out of a gangster, you really got to have a strong, strong connection to the unity and the oneness of all of Am Yisrael, and you really got to have this strong connection that this gangster is going to feel like he's really one with you too. If you don't, so maybe you'll convince him that he should change his ways and avoid going to prison, But otherwise, the chances of convincing him of anything just looks at you and says, like, what do you know about life? Right? This weiß D. Geistmuseum. Right? You ever hear of Migdal Emek? Have you been there? You've heard of it?
You're from there.
Migdal Emek. Emek, yeah.
Yeah, I know where it is. Approximately.
So it's a town that today there are thousands of kids and adults who are studying Torah there all day long. Migdal Emek was the leader of that town is what's his first name? Reb David, but something else. Yeah, but he has two names. Anyway, it's Reb David Grossman. You can see his talks of his on YouTube. Very good guy. Grew up in Meir Sharim. His father was one of the Dayanim, one of the judges in the Eder Charedit. They're Karlin Stolen Hasidim. And when he got married, he said to his wife, there's no need for another shtreimel in Yerushalayim. They went to the police, and he said to the police, which place in Israel has the highest crime rate? They told him Migdal Emek. She said, okay, good. And he and his wife went to Migdal Emek. They moved in there, and for I don't know how long it took him, but he literally sat in the taverns with the hoodlums and the gangsters day after day, and he would talk with them and say a few words of Torah. And mamish, they became Balei Tshuva, and the town is like an amazing. I haven't been there yet, but it's thousands of people from age to the oldest age, sitting and learning Torah and living the holy Jewish life. So how did he do it? How did Reb Shlomo succeed in doing what he did? Right? It's a whole topic. And I'll just tell you the story. You know the story that Reb Nachman used to tell, and the story about this elderly prince and queen, king and queen. They were childless for all their lives. And finally, in their old age, they received a blessing. You don't know the story. And a son was born to them, and Baruch Hashem, they now have a prince. Anyway, from an early age on, the father, the king, already made a point to have breakfast together with his prince every morning, because he was already, first of all, for his great joy and delight that finally he has a son, but also to start training him to become the next king. So at an early age, he would tell him that today he's meeting with King so-and-so from such and such a country. As the prince got older, and began to understand issues, so he would tell him, I'm meeting with so-and-so, we're going to discuss the following, and this is what I'm trying to achieve. And he's shown great signs of of intelligence and leadership. And one day he's 18 years old, and his father, who's had breakfast with him every single morning for the last almost 18 years, is waiting for him to come down to breakfast, and he's not showing up. So he sends a couple of guards upstairs, and they come back, and they're afraid to even say anything, and he says, "What happened?" And they have no choice, they have to tell him, and they say the prince thinks that he's a turkey. Right? Remember the story now? You catch the master? You know? Right? And the king runs upstairs, and the prince is running around the room, jumping up and down after furniture, naked, flapping his wings, making turkey sounds. His father starts getting annoyed and screaming at him, "Get dressed, come on down." Nothing doing, he's a turkey. He's a turkey. And he only comes down at dinner time and goes under the tablecloth and eats the stuff that falls on the floor. And they call all the experts, and everybody comes and everybody goes. Nobody knows the solution. Finally, an old man comes one day and he says, I'd like to try to have a chance to heal the prince. He eventually gets in to see the prince. He comes into the room, and if you've ever had the pleasure of seeing two turkeys when they meet the first time, they're walking around the room, they're looking at each other. Finally, his clothes, throws them in the corner, lifts his wings, and sings the Turkish national anthem. You don't know it? Okay. And the prince says to him, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And the old man looks at him and he says, "You can't tell?" And the prince says, "Who are you? What are you?" And he says, "You can't tell?" He looks him in the eyes. And he says, "You're also a turkey?" He says, "Can't you tell?" And he's so excited. He finally met someone who realizes that he's a turkey and he's also a turkey. And Baruch Hashem, he has a friend who understands him. And every morning they get up and welcome the sunrise. They go downstairs to eat turkey grain and all kinds of things like that. And the king and the queen, they now have Baruch Hashem, they have two turkeys in the palace. But the king and the queen had promised that they wouldn't interfere. So a couple of months go by, the turkey prince wakes up one morning, and lo and behold, the old man is wearing a shirt. He gets so upset, he's flying around the room, feathers are flying. "You're a liar, you deceived me, you're one of them." The old man says, "No, you know who I really am. Just because I'm wearing a shirt doesn't mean that I'm one of them." The prince accepted it. A couple of weeks later, the old man is already wearing a shirt and pants. Again, he freaks out, but again, he calms him down. I could wear a shirt, I could wear pants, and it can still be a turkey. A couple of weeks go by. The guards bring their bowls of bird grain, and the old man says, "Excuse me, what are you serving for breakfast downstairs?" "Oh, today we've got egg omelets." She says, "Okay, bring me some egg omelets." And the prince starts freaking out. "You're dressing like them, you're eating like them, you're one of them." The old man says, "I can dress like them and I can eat like them, and I can still be a turkey, and you know that I'm a turkey." And with that, he convinced the prince. The prince got dressed. They came downstairs, they sat at the table, they ate a meal. The king and the queen are very, very happy. But the old man says, "I'm not finished." He says, "I need you to give me the provisions to go for a long, long trip in the forest with your son."
Oh, what?
Long trip. And they went off, and eventually the prince realized that really he is a prince. That's a parable, right? And we're the prince, right? And we get this crazy jug in our mind, and we think sometimes we have to behave like a turkey, right? And we're so convinced of that nobody can heal us. Until the old man, the tzaddik, comes and relates to us where we're at. And eventually the prince realizes that if the tzaddik can relate to me where I'm at, that means that there's a road from his place to here. And if there's a road from his place to here, that means I can take that road to go from here to his place. I can take the road to also become a tzaddik. That's the gist of the story. The nemshel is that we are the children of Israel, are b'nei melachim. We're royalty. And sometimes we get a jug in our head, and we think that we have to be k'moi kol hagoyim, like all the other nations, right?
Donation.
All the other nations.
Oh.
Until the tzaddik comes along and reminds us that we're b'nei melachim, we're children of kings. So, why did I tell this story? Do I know the turkey?
You said this.
I said too.
Ago in here. And you know something? It was just today that I understood it.
It's a very deep parable.
אנחנו בני אלוקים, and we tend to act like b'nei ha'umos, which we're not.
Right. B'diuk.
So we need to attach ourselves to a Rebbe.
This is a story from Nachman.
It's a parable that Reb Nachman used to tell, yeah. I don't know that it doesn't exist in other literature. I think it might actually exist in other literature too, but it's something that he used to tell.
If you want to see this enacted, there's a movie called Patch Adams.
Yeah.
About the first medical clown. Robin Williams is the therapist.
What's it called?
Patch Adams.
Patch Adams.
ATCH.
Good.
And the scene where the guy is acting like this, and he goes in. He's a
And
doctor.
mimics him.
It really gets.
Yeah.
You would enjoy it, I think.
Okay, good. I have this habit. I'm a night person. I'm really a night person. So, like sometimes, I just don't start doing what I need to do till 10 o'clock at night, and then I'm up till 2 o'clock in the morning. And then, I get up 6:15 in the morning, approximately. What can I tell you? Okay. So, the point of my telling this story, why didn't anybody ask, why did I tell the story? Don't you think it should be related to what we're learning?
It is.
Okay, so what part of it is it related to?
He's talking about how we're princes of the king. We're all together. We're all together in the presence of the king. We're princes.
This is the point. You understand?
You
when you meet a fellow brother or sister, and there's a big gap between you, you're fortunate. You're learning Torah, and this guy is still into stealing cars or whatever it is, right? He's doing all kinds of things. So if you really want him back home, you really got to be on the level that you really believe and feel that you're one. Then whatever you're going to say to him, he's going to listen to. But if you feel that that you're so special and he is what they call in Yiddish, an Oiswurf. Remember that word? Someone to be rejected, someone who is all rejected, also is already rejected. And you're going to have that attitude. You can tell him the most beautiful teachings in the world. He's not going to listen. Okay?
You see, that was the godless of Reb Shlomo.
That was also Reb Shlomo.
I remember you one time said at the time of his Vaya, a whole bunch of people came. Ragamuffins, black, white, and they were crying. And they said, who is going to sing a song? Who's going to say he made them feel like somebody?
Yeah.
And wore it over them.
Right. That's the whole secret.
Feels
Okay.
today, like the story you told today was exemplifying what's so moving in your class, in your shir yesterday. About we're all together.
Which story?
What
The one you just told now. Yeah.
It's told now.
Yeah.
It's an example.
Yeah.
So how we say at the end of the services, Shana Tova, Tikatei, Techatem.
Yeah.
That was the main point of the service, even more than the service.
It's less shofar. Maybe it'll, since the shofar sound wakes you up. I need to wake up. Okay, so the connection to what we were doing over here is that Rosh Hashanah we're all one together, and therefore we're not asking each other for forgiveness. So the avodah in Rosh Hashanah is to mamish be one, right? Especially since we're standing before the King of Kings of Kings. So the Burka Rebbe says, "Davar nora v'ayom." Something amazing. Shamati ez mechasid boyan zakein. I heard it from an old boyan rechosid. נניח שבזמן שאני מתפלל אני אומר לעצמי, גוואלד כמה אני מרגיש אהבה לקדוש ברוך הוא. Imagine during davening, I'm saying to myself, wow, I'm so much in love with God. I love God. אחר כך אני יוצא מבית הכנסת והולך לי ברחוב. And then I leave the shul and I'm walking in the street. וכל יהודי שאני רואה, and every year that I see, יש לי משהו לא טוב לחשוב עליו. And every year that I see, I have something negative to think about him. זה טיפש, this one is stupid. זה קצר מדי, this one is too short. זה ארוך מדי, this one is too tall. אומר לך רבי מבוקר, so the Rebbe says, דע לך, you should know, אם כך אתה מסתכל על בניו של מקום, if that's the way you're looking at Hashem's children, זה סימן שאהבתו של הקדוש ברוך הוא כלל לא חדרה בלבך. It's a sure sign that Hashem's love, it's a sure sign that Hashem's love is not penetrated to your heart. But if after davening I'm walking in the street, and every Yid appears to me like he looks like an angel. Gewalt ze siman tov. That's already a good sign. בליל ראש השנה, אם אני זוכה להתפלל באמת על ראש השנה, if I'm really married to daven properly, right? So then what happens? פתאום ליבי מתמלא אהבה לכל עם ישראל. Suddenly my heart is full of love for all of Israel. כפי שעוד לא היה. So much love that there's never been so much like that before. אני מרגיש כל כך קרוב אליהם, I feel so close to them. כל כך אחד איתם, so much united with them. שאי אפשר לא יכול לבקש האמונה מהישר, שאי אפשר, שאני אפילו לא יכול לבקש מהם סליחה. I'm so close to them that I can't even ask them for forgiveness, because I really feel that I'm one with them. אתם יודעים מה רוצה המלך? You know what it is that המלך wanted? המלך רוצה לעשות פירוד בעם ישראל. המלך wanted to make division. He wanted to make division among the people. כתוב, it says, זכור את אשר עשה לך המלך. Remember what המלך did to you? כלומר, meaning to say, המלך אומר לכל יהודי, המלך is telling every Jew, אתה לבד, you're alone, right? אשר עשה לך, right? He was making, אתה רק לך, you're all alone. שום אדם לא אוהב אותך, nobody loves you. תבין סוף סוף שאתה לבד בעולם ואין לך על מי לסמוך. Just understand finally that you're alone in the world, you have no one to rely on. התיקון בראש השנה הוא, the tikkun for all this in Rosh Hashanah is האחדות הנפלאה של עם ישראל. The unity and the amazing thing about the people of Israel. הקשר הזה, this connection, הברכות האלה, these blessings, הם מחיית המלך שבראש השנה. And this is the Chiddush, and he says, you know how you wipe out Amalek and Rosh Hashanah? By being united, by being together. Right? And he was doing the opposite of what Amalek was trying to accomplish. Okay, so either we sing or I have to tell you stories because my kippah is like having a hard time. I feel I'm mamish like, you know, like I have to set up a system with you guys that if I don't go to sleep early, that you should keep me in for a detention or something like that. Give me an extra homework. I don't know what, but something that should make me make sure that I sleep enough.
When you go to sleep, do you sleep?
Yeah, I sleep.
Problem is getting into bed.
Besides, I have to get up. No, I don't have trouble getting up in the morning.
You don't have trouble getting into bed.
No, what do you mean trouble? Get sit down, lie down, boom.
So you could do it theoretically at 10 or 11 o'clock.
That's my problem. Theoretically.
I have the same problem. I have the same
So
problem.
you could theoretically do it at 10 or 11 o'clock.
I have the same problem.
So much for the
My wife
theories.
helps me.
So much for the theories, right? Okay.
Would you say that Amalek is Satan?
Amalek, there's a saying in the Gemara, who has Satan, who Hamalach Hamavis, who Yesir Hara, and he's also a Amalek sometimes. In other words, sometimes they're used as synonyms, but it's but the Satan is more like an angelic force that Hashem created.
Angelic, not necessarily good.
No, there's all kinds of angels.
What the Sikha is telling us is that the feeling of unity can banish feelings of isolation.
That's right.
That's the root cause for
There goes my loneliness. There goes my isolation. Right?
There's something in the phrasing here
Yeah.
I want to point out. On page 64,
Yeah,
3 lines from the bottom.
yeah,
We're talking about, he says to Hashem, how much I love you, feels great davening. And he goes out into the street and it says every Jew he sees, Yesh li mashu lo tov lachshov lav. It doesn't say there's something bad in the other Jew. It says,
read it
it
again.
says Yesh li, there's something inside me.
Read it again.
Yesh li mashu lo tov lachshov alav.
Allah,
Alav.
Allah on him.
It's within me. In other words, he didn't say there's something, like he finds something not good in the other
No,
Jew.
you're not reading it right.
Why?
Yesh li mashu lo tov lachshov alav. I have something bad to think about it. Yesh li means I have.
Yesh li mashu lo tov. He doesn't say yesh lo masei shelo kol
Yeah.
yesh mashu lo tov.
Yeah.
It says yesh li mashu lo tov.
I know something not so positive about him. That's what he's saying. That's what
It's within me.
It's not a question of within me. It's a question of this. It's just you're darshaning the simple
I want
sentence.
to say a book that I haven't read yet.
Yeah.
You are what you hate.
Yeah. By sorry, you
Schneider.
That's something else.
In other words, when I see something that's really bothering me, the other person, it's within me.
Okay, that's a whole important topic. That's something else. That's not the point over here. The point over here is that all he's saying is you just don't just keep it in context, okay? He's just saying that this is the problem. People walk around and they, instead of looking at what bonds us and unites us, right? We're saying, oh, this guy I know yesterday he did this, and that one did that, and I have something negative to say about everybody. You know, the people who run for presidents,
Yes.
or any the head of any big political thing. You know who really makes the decisions is the boys in the back room. And you know something? I'll bet you that the only people that they're going to let become the candidates and run for election are people that have some skeletons in their closets. Do you know that expression? They have something to hide. Because they want people that have something to hide, because that way they can keep controlling them. So on our level, on daily life, what happens? You're walking in the street, there you see Chaim Yankel. Oh, yeah, Frima Yid. Looks like a well-to-do, a well-respected man in the community. But I know how he speaks to his wife. And there comes the Shemaiah. And I know how he behaves in his business. You know what I mean? What am I doing? What I'm doing is I'm controlling in the relationship and keeping my distance from these people, and to maintain my power in some way vis-a-vis these people. You're not going to bug me because I know how to get you in trouble, type of thing. Anyway, so much of the time we're not thinking unity, we're thinking the opposite of unity. And that's the problem that Reb Shlomo is addressing over here. Okay? If you're really in Rosh Hashanah and you're really standing before the king, could you imagine standing before the king and saying, my dear king, you see this brother of mine is a jerk. Would you tell the king, this son of yours is a jerk? You wouldn't. Unless your idea of the king is like some little Hollywood character type of thing. But if you're really standing in front of the king and you really believe that you're in front of the king and that the king is giving life to everyone, you're going to tell the king, hey, how come you have a son like this and how come you have a daughter like this? Let me see you go do something like that. You wouldn't dare, right? And if you do, it's either because you're stupid or because you don't even realize that you're in front of the king. Okay? So, and that's why, the whole thing of whenever we daven, we have to say beforehand, we have to do, I'm accepting upon myself the mitzvah of love your father like you love yourself. And it's not an easy thing that we're talking about. The fact of the matter is, you go into your shul, there very well might be some real, jerks and who get on your nerves and get on other people's nerves and so on, right? And okay, you want to improve them. So then learn how to do. Learn how to do that and something like that. Or learn everything you can about that. But otherwise, we're talking about stuff that is it's a big test, and like the more you want to try to come closer to God, the more you're going to be tested.
About staying away from people who are bad influences.
So stay away, fine. Goes into hate. Yes, nobody said you should hang out with them, but don't be judgmental. It's still your brother, and it's still your sister, and don't. That's the important thing to remember. So you want to stay away because of bad influence or something like that. Okay, so stay away. Keep your distance. Keep your awareness and so on. But don't let it get to a point where you think that, like this, I don't see how he and I could be brothers and sisters. Okay. Okay, I think we're going to pause over here if you forgive me to do that, yeah?
Do me a favor to please close this letter.
Yeah.
Wherever you want to put it, I'll take care of it. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.